Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and in today's journey through the Starmap, we're heading to one of the earlier discovered systems in the human expansion, and that's going to be Odin. Now, about 50,000 years ago, Odin was believed to have some great ecosystem, similar to what we would find on Earth or Terra. However, the star ended up collapsing into a white dwarf, which ended up completely obliterating the first planet in orbit and wiping the atmospheres off all the others, taking whatever life there was with it. So basically, it's just a barren landscape at this point. Now, what remains is basically just a bunch of icy rocks that are orbiting the star. This system was initially slated to become a miner's paradise. However, with no good terraforming candidate for a base to take hold, the thought was it would just be too difficult to run a large-scale operation here. So what ended up happening was that this system was a large-scale weapons testing location. Now, in the 27th century, we ended up seeing the remaining natural landscapes being completely demolished by new weapons that were eventually going to end up being sold to the UEE. Now, that ended up lasting for quite a while until this group came along with this Save the Fossils campaign, because it was discovered that there were essentially preserved records of what happened on the planet prior to the cataclysmic star event. It ended up being that the weapons testing needed to stop for a while, just kind of based on the communities trying to support it. But like most fads and trends, the Save the Fossils movement didn't last very long. Odin 1 in the lore is referred to as the Belt at this point because the planet was basically shattered. But on the star map, it's known as the Coil. And if I had to guess, this was probably a design decision, moving it from a round belt into an asteroid cluster. Either way, though, the coil contains a lot of heavy metals and materials and distinctive gemstones. And if you're thinking to yourself that this sounds like a miner's paradise, you're both right and wrong. The UEE technically prohibits any mining at this location. However, there's not really any active troops here, so there's not really anybody to stop you from actually doing your mining. Now, another factor to consider here is what's known as arch charges, which are caused by pieces of the planet's iron core reacting with remnants from the star's explosion, causing these massive jolts capable of rendering any ship useless. And if you're still not scared of mining here, there are pirates. Lots of well-armed, incredibly mean, not scared of the charges pirates who aren't really being kept in control by anyone since the UEE and the advocacy aren't really here. In fact, this group is thought to reside so deep inside the coil that nobody can really find them, and they're said to be responsible for a whole lot of hit-and-run attacks on shipping operations just outside of Odin. So I think with all that in mind, the coil is an outstanding option for mining if you're well protected by escorts, and you have a way to move the goods through transport, and you have some repair ships and insurance is paid on your ship in case the charges do get to you. Now, I also look at this and say that the ballsiest bounty hunters out there could do well here, because there's a lot of pirates, and in addition, those that are interested in reclaiming dead ships for salvage could probably get more than their fill. Basically, it's just a dangerous place to be, but with danger comes a lot of profit, or at least opportunity for profit. Now, Odin 2 is technically home to a UEE base. However, it's only really a launching point for Arctic expeditions by scientists or polar combat training by the military. There's also some arms manufacturers that have research facilities here, as well as large testing ranges. That being said, the majority of testing is actually done on Vili, which is the moon. And this is probably the most violent place in the galaxy without anybody actually getting hurt, because the moon's been absolutely blasted by munitions. And the surface of the moon is actually owned by, and actually operated by Bering's Applied Tech Division, which is kind of labeled as shadowy. And inside the moon, where no one else can see, you've got bases operated by BAT. Now, in addition to ranges, you also have antimatter refineries, chemical compulsion units, and other factories, though there are very few people who actually live on this moon. So if you're interested in checking this place out, Raleigh Station is the only place you're going to actually be able to legally land, and its primary purpose is to bring goods in and out of the system. So for those of you that have interest in transport, albeit fairly dangerous transport thanks to the pirates and high-grade weapons, you could bring supplies and technology in or haul some of the finished products away. And in addition, things like medicine and food are always in demand thanks to the isolation of the system. And for those of you that are interested in getting some equipment for yourself, there is almost always a military surplus here for you to come by. So for those of you with maybe paramilitary operations or even piracy, those of you that need weapons can probably come here and get some pretty good stuff. Odin 3 was another weapons testing platform in the past. However, today it's considered illegal to do that. So now what we have is this frozen dead world that isn't known for much outside of this photo that was taken and shown to the public with this gigantic glowing orange triangle blast in the surface that almost seemed to just cut right through this planet. Now, the military ends up denying that any weapon was capable of doing that, but based on it actually being that delta shape, it seems kind of shady to me. So who knows what treats are going to end up lying ahead regarding that note. And Odin 4 is a gas giant where there's a hydrogen rendering and gas station that's in orbit. And this gas station ends up being entirely automated. While there are some people in the station, you're not really going to end up being able to interact with them because it's just all automated. Now, you can technically spend the night on this station, but the rooms are terribly maintained and not worth your time. However, there is a very good reason to stop by, though, because for those of you that have big ships with big tanks, the gas prices here are supposed to be some of the lowest in this part of the galaxy. So low, in fact, that making the extra jump here is often going to be worth your while, even if it's out of your way. And I think for those of you that have starfarers who aren't interested in scooping and refining your own fuel, or just want a different way to utilize your ship, I think you could come here, buy low, and go sell that fuel high elsewhere and make a good profit. And in this system, we've got 3 jump points, one leading to Nyx, another to Tanga, and another to Kellogg. So that's the Odin system. If you guys have questions about any of this, please let me know. I think it's a really interesting system, and I think it's one that's probably going to be worth your while in a lot of ways, especially if you want non-combat operations, but you want that high level of excitement. So that's Odin. Again, questions, let me know. Otherwise, stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.